Crisis Radio. Keep up with all of Tarpley.net. And, of course, a lot of tweets coming out at Webster G. Tarpley on Twitter. You want to keep up with it hour to hour yesterday with all those rumors swirling. Let's do a study in contrast. Two ways of dealing with the credit agencies, the ratings agencies. One is Obama's method, and that is called capitulation and craven groveling. Washington Post, Saturday, July 16th. Credit raters ignore U.S. pleas. Obama administration pushes hard to fend off their default warnings. The Obama administration has mounted an intense behind-the-scenes campaign to keep the nation's major credit rating companies from issuing threats that they might downgrade the United States over the swelling size of its debts. How about that? And it doesn't work. You try to appease them, and you can't. Remember, these are the same people that were giving all the junk derivatives in Wall Street AAA until 5 minutes to midnight, so to speak, on back there in September of the year 2008. Now, we've just given you the name of one of them, John Beers, who heads the Standard & Poor's unit that rates national economies. He told senior Treasury officials that S&P was planning to issue a warning to the United States, the same one that he gave Britain in 2009. We've got John Chambers, a top S&P analyst. He defended the company's decision to threaten the U.S. credit rating, saying the company is consistently tough. Hey, wait a minute, you were not tough on those rotten, bankrupt, kited, cancerous derivatives in 2007, 2008, all AAA until the very last minute. John Chambers cited that S&P had downgraded Indonesia, Venezuela, and Uruguay. Well, I'm sorry, John Chambers. This is the United States of America, and watch out for what may be coming your way. Maybe the FBI could be moved. Maybe the Department of Justice. Maybe the Secret Service. Now, naturally, with a Wall Street stooge like Obama, you won't get this. What would Franklin D. Roosevelt do? What did Kennedy do? When Kennedy saw a cartel operating in the steel industry with Roger Blau, Bobby Kennedy at the Department of Justice sicked the FBI on Blau and U.S. Steel and that cartel. These were people who they'd just gotten over their pro-Hitler enthusiasm of the 1930s and 1940s. So that's what you were dealing with, a bunch of unreconstructed fascist sympathizers there. So you got to think, what would Roosevelt do? What would Kennedy do? And compare that to Obama. And as usual, Obama's the opposite. Now, even Christine Lagarde at the IMF says credit rating agencies should not intervene and should not grade countries. That's tougher than Obama. So the head of the IMF is rougher on these agencies than Obama is. Now, what's the alternative? Let's look at Italy. Let's go down to Puglia, or Apulia, as the Romans called it. It's the heel of the boot. And here we have the city of Trani, Trani. And here we have one of these classic, courageous, independent Italian investigating judges, state prosecutors. They're called judges, they're called magistrates. Here they would be the equivalent of U.S. attorneys, except they're not subjected to that same kind of central bureaucratic control. They are independent. The Italian magistrates are independent. And now we see some of the benefits. The guy in question, Michele Ruggiero, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, written Michel, and Ruggiero, R-U-G-G-I-E-R-O. Look him up. Send him a support statement. Talk him up. Get him out on your Twitter feeds. Michele Ruggiero, state prosecutor of Trani. He is investigating those ratings agencies. He has them under the magnifying glass. He has them under the electron microscope. In the past week, he took a delegation, not of propitiating fawning toadies like Obama, but he took a delegation of the Guardia di Finanza, the finance police, the finance guards, and he visited the Consob. The Consob, I guess, is the Association of Stock Market Operators. This something like a local branch of the NASD or SIPC or something like that, and visited their offices and demanded some answers and apparently got some documents. It's not quite a raid, but maybe psychologically for these ratings agencies characters, it's the equivalent of a raid, and that's my word. Take a look at the case of Michele Ruggero. We're also told that in the magistracy of Rome, there are some investigative judges in the Rome area who are also planning to pay some visits to the ratings agencies. There's an active discussion in the Italian papers, including in the business press, how to prevent these ratings agencies from issuing irresponsible, incendiary declarations that are obviously coordinated with bear raids and bear attacks, speculation a la baisse, al ribasso, in order to attack the bonds of the country. And the obvious way to do that is to make them know that every move they make is under the microscope, that they are being watched. Raid them a few times. That's the answer. Again, what would Franklin D. Roosevelt do? What would John F. Kennedy do? We see the Kennedy case again, the Roger Blau, very, very clear. How are we allowing Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's to dictate the policies of the United States? This is an international attack on this country, and the president is supposed to take care that the laws be faithfully enforced. It looks like they consider these ratings agencies to be above the law, and this is a scandal. It's essentially a meeting was organized with Lude and Geithner, where they begged the ratings agencies not to take any further steps against the United States, and the ratings agencies said no, drop dead. So there was no deal, and that is inevitably what you're going to get if you try to appease them. Specifically, let's see if we can find the write-up. Geithner summoned Beers and other S&P analysts to Washington at the Treasury Department hours after Obama publicly laid out a plan in April to reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over 12 years. Attending the meeting were Geithner, Deputy Treasury Secretary Neil Wolin, W-O-L-I-N, Budget Director J.J. Lude, Biden's Chief of Staff Bruce Reed, and National Economic Council Deputy Director Jason Furman. And Standard & Poor's said, sorry, boys, drop dead. Well, a government, if it's not just a gaggle of stooges and Wall Street puppets, had better do something about that. Now, that's the U.S. situation. And again, the political answer to all of this is you won't get anywhere with Obama unless you're challenging him from his left. Oh, one other thing. Barney Frank on television yesterday, Barney Frank now the ranking member of the House Finance Committee, he says that committee, under GOP leadership, railroaded through a bill which, if passed and put into law, would essentially limit or make into zero the liability of the credit ratings agencies concerning false reports, inaccurate reports that they issue and that may find their way into prospectuses of companies. So the Republicans in the background are, of course, even worse than Obama. They're trying to build in legal protections for these ratings agencies. I mean, do we want to put the ratings agencies in the preamble of the Constitution in Standard & Poor's We Trust? I think not. Time to mobilize. Get that letter to your congressman.